is a spirited away cake. I made that one first, and then I switched over, I think, an hour later to the other cake that I had made to decorate. But the issue is, the other cake, as in this cake, that's the one I'm making now, I'm decorating. But combining both of the videos is going to pose an issue because it would have been far too long for me to add a voiceover to, as in I wouldn't have enjoyed talking for 2, almost 3 hours. So I figured it would just be better if I made this first video with the baking and the decorating of one of the cakes, and then I make just another separate video where I'm decorating the spirited away cake, because that one is honestly a bit more elaborate when it comes to the frosting work. Also, I do apologize if there is background noise, a lot of it. I've said it many times before, I do have a busy household, and right now it's kind of like the prime time where people are getting home and settling in, and my grandfather's got some sort of political TV blasting upstairs. It's just what they do. He is a creature of habit. But right here, I am baking a really, really simple vanilla cake. If I can be so very honest with you, and trust me, this video is over an hour long, so I'm gonna be honest. Me and my family actually didn't even eat. Well, I ate some of So this morning, probably about 2 a.m., Bane once again went outside and got into it with a skunk, probably the same skunk, and he was sprayed. Now, I wish I could say these were isolated events, but I'm going to tell you this, and it's not an exaggeration. I think since the second time he just got sprayed today, this is either his 8th or his 9th time that he has been sprayed by a skunk. The reason behind this, oh my goodness, I just went from talking about vanilla cake to skunk. We have a lot of animals that go through our backyard. So we've got literally everything, like, well, not everything, we don't have like deer or anything. I'm not in the suburbs, not in the far out areas. But we've got possums coming in and out. We've got groundhogs coming in and out. We've got little mice that'll dig little holes, and I think we had to do something to get rid of them, but they've been here. And we've had skunks continuously travel throughout our neighborhood, and for some reason they just really like under our shed in our backyard. But if I can be real again, I say that 100 times, it's honestly getting really frustrating. Like, it really, really is, because you have animals that learn from pain, and they learn from things that they do with other animals, aka a kitten getting slapped by its sibling or something, or a dog getting bitten by its mother, or nipped at, and that tells them to stop, or that teaches them certain behaviors. But with Bane, when it comes to his protective nature and his nature to just go after the animals in our yard, I'm not saying like other dogs or cats or anything. We coexist with literally like 4 to 5 other cats. I gave you a range there because technically one of them is some of them are strays. Regardless, he goes after any animal in our backyard immediately, and he has done it ever since we got him. But the thing is, even if there was a full-fledged, like, snapping turtle in our yard or something, that thing could bite a chunk out of him, and he would still go after another one after he healed. I don't know what it is about him, but it really just is frustrating, because it's like he then is going to always be in pain whenever these encounters happen with the skunks. And it's just unfortunate, because then it inconveniences us too, because let me tell you, if you've ever had your animal sprayed by a skunk, the scent that lingers is atrocious, you guys. Like, oh my gosh, it will stick, and that's the issue. It will stick to things, and so you either have to let things air out, or you just cancel stuff. The first time we had this happen with Bane, I was a freshman or a sophomore, I can't remember, in high school. And when he got sprayed, it was the night before I had to go to school, and even the next day when I went, the scent was still stuck to me. I didn't even touch Bane, but because the scent is so potent, it will stick to your clothes and your shoes and your tires. And so immediately in first period, I could just tell it was sticking to me, and I was like, nope. And I went home. I was like, nope, I am not staying through classes for anyone to have to smell this. Oh my goodness, someone's car is going crazy right now. also attracts other rodents, other anything. And it keeps them coming back because he keeps doing it. But the issue is, he's not going to stop doing it because that's just him. Like, that's just what he does. He enjoys doing it. But there is, there is some tension in my household between my parents and him because of that. Because it's bringing on a lot of issues with, like I just said, with Bane getting into it with rodents, with the skunk getting sprayed. All of us get inconvenienced then. And my father is like getting up for work. That's why he's taking the dog out, and then he has to go through the whole process of washing the dog again. And like washing him, not just a regular quick bath like this is. You have to get the skunk off. And so we literally have a special shampoo and all of that stuff because we know that this isn't the last time it'll happen. When we bought it, we knew that time wouldn't be the last either, and it wasn't because he just got sprayed 2 more times. And I guess, I don't know, this is like me turning this into like a rant because it's like, oh my gosh, like I love this dog, but come on, Mr. Bane, come on. I don't know, it's on my mind because it literally, I keep saying literally, please forgive me, please. It's just on my mind because it happened 10-20 minutes ago again. So I'm a little bothered by that. But what I've just made right there, if we're gonna get back into this cake decorating video, wow, I can't believe I just talked about that for so long. I'm actually really sorry, you guys. I'm sorry if you hated that. Like, did you hate that? I don't know. But the cake that I'm decorating right here is indeed not the cake that you saw me bake. But that's because I didn't record baking this one because the video would have been too long. So the first one was just a classic vanilla, and that cake was used for the Spirited Away Haku cake, which you're going to see. You're going to see that, but that's going to be in another video, and it's only going to be decorating. So that was that one. And this one is just a regular chocolate cake, which I think, honestly, flavor-wise, this one turned out much better than the vanilla cake did. I don't know, that vanilla cake, it wasn't that great. It was fine, but I did not choose it. But I'm using the buttercream here to apply, and when I made this buttercream, I actually made a little bit extra as well because I sort of assumed that it might not be enough to decorate this Secret Garden Howl's Moving Castle cake. But what I did was I tried to find the butter that had the lightest possible color I could get, the lightest white, because I wanted to be able to have a proper white accent in this cake, so the clouds. And I didn't want it to look too much of like a creamy yellow white. I wanted it to look like a proper, semi at least, bright white. And the way that I did this, that I found that it's the easiest without having to do a whole bunch of other steps or get a white, they have like a white bright food color sort of thing that you can use to accompany your white buttercream, but I don't have that. And so all I did was I made this regular buttercream, and I added a little bit of almond extract to it because none of my vanilla is clear, and I didn't want the buttercream to get any darker, but I also didn't want to use artificial vanilla because that's got a very artificial taste. Like, it's like the very really sweet flavor where it's just, you can tell. show where I'm mixing in the rest of the colors to the buttercream, but just know all I did was take the buttercream that I used, that white one, and I separated it into a few different bowls, some of them paper bowls if I knew I wouldn't need a whole bunch, and then the other ones were the base colors, so I just mixed very, very little food coloring into these shades that I use the majority of, so the blues and the greens. Those were the base shades that I knew I wanted to be pastel, because as you're going to see probably sometime in the future when I do upload the Spirited Away cake, I wasn't very happy. I'll probably rant about it. I wasn't very happy with how bold I made the colors. And so with this cake, I took from the mistakes that I made on the Haku cake. Whenever I say Haku, I'm referencing the character who is he can like transform into the river dragon spirit, but he's also got like the cute little bob, Dora Bob. I'm sorry, that's not disrespectful. I love the movie, but that was the best way for me to describe it to you. Anyways, with that cake, I just didn't like how bright I made the background on it. It was very much so like Costco, Pick and Save, grocery store, bright SpongeBob neon frosting. I'm probably over exaggerating, but I did not like it. For me, for my I don't know if you can call it art style, but it stands that I much prefer the softer colors. I mean, you could say pastel, but just anything that is muted. I just feel like, of course, bright colors in art absolutely have their time and place, but for what I was creating here, I didn't want it to be so... Okay, no, I take all of that back, because that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is the colors on the cake looked like primary colors, and they did not look like they had the depth or the standing over my shoulder and observing, and sometimes it's not like it's directly over my shoulder. It can be sometimes like just at a distance, sort of. I know this has got to be just like a family thing, like family members just do this, but there's a sort of tension when I am working on something and you can just feel some sort of, like, I don't know, judgment. And the thing is, it's not as intense as judgment sometimes. It's just you can feel someone else's desire to, like, backseat, comment, or guide. So if I'm doing something a certain way, I feel like I've always just come from, how do I say it? Okay, so specifically with my grandfather, he is a man of little words, and I spend time with him and let him into some of these processes, especially when I am baking. I will allow him to stand off and watch over my shoulder, but it can be bothersome. And you know what? I felt bad about to say that. Like, I felt like someone in the comments was going to try to clap back at me for saying that, but you know what? I don't feel bad about saying that, because we as individuals, and especially me as a young person that has not yet fully regulated how I feel about everything that is going on in my life, I am allowed to feel upset when I feel like my personal space and my time and what I choose to do is being invaded unnecessarily. And I spend time with my grandfather. I know some people are going to be like, oh, he just wants to be included, or oh, you need to be kinder to him. But you guys, you are in my life, okay? I'm telling you how it is. Sometimes he will make comments about things that are unkind, okay? That's how family is sometimes, and maybe that's not how family should be, but it's how some of them are. Or he will try to tell me to do something differently, even though I'm already set on doing it one way because that is what I want to experiment with. Or he'll tell me to alter something, and I don't know if that's how he raised my mother and her brothers, but he's just always been that way. And lately, me and my sister have been getting a little bit better at setting those boundaries with him, where we let him know, hey, I am the one cooking this, I am the one baking this. If you would like to do it yourself, go ahead. But he doesn't, because we are the ones that will do those things for him. But a lot of the time, he's got a slight issue with, I don't know, such a different era from what they may have thought was a primer, from what they may have thought was the best place to be, sort of thing, and that everything that's changing is bad. A lot of elderly folk see change as really bad, and I don't mean that specifically to changes in government or changes in prices, inflation. No, I mean change, period. Learning to maybe adapt to different, technological changes is automatically seen as bad. Learning to adapt to different ideological changes is immediately bad. Everything for my grandfather at least exists on extreme ends. So either it's good and it's comfortable, or it's immediately bad. And the thing is, we don't correct him on some of these ideas he has, or the way that he will address us, because he does not really change it. And when I say address us and his ideas, I'm applying that to the way that he will, try to backseat, tell us how to bake something, or he'll loom over my shoulder while I'm decorating a baked good. Sometimes I just let it happen because I'm like, you know what, maybe he thinks that this is comfortable, and if I get bothered in any way by maybe a comment he makes, I'll say something about it. But otherwise, he's got this place, this home, we've always lived in. He's always lived here his entire life. I'm not gonna make it a place that suddenly feels out of balance, out of whack, as though I'm changing things up on him. So I'm changing my behaviors or the way I talk to him. I don't know. You guys, I just ranted, and that came out because I think it needed to come out. I think I needed to say that, because there's just been, I don't know, I think that pet peeve of having someone watch me has just, it comes out because it comes from a place of where I never really felt, no, this is dramatic for me to say this, but it comes from a place where I didn't really feel like I was safe to do exactly what I wanted. Like, I didn't feel like I was allowed to try new things, or I felt like since I was being watched, there was some sort of random expectation of some kind, because I expected a comment to come my way that had something to do with either, oh, this is too sweet, this tastes too sweet, this has too much of this, or too little of this, or you should have done it this way, or why didn't you just do it this way? Hearing that when you grow up can be frustrating. And so then once you start to be watched, even by the people that didn't say those things to you, it can feel like you're being scrutinized and you're under a magnifying glass, and it can then make you scrutinize everything that you too are doing. And I don't want to hate the things that I do. I don't want to feel like if I'm decorating something or drawing something or baking something, I don't want to feel like there is an audience for it other than for myself. And I guess I wish I maybe would have said that last part before I said the other things about feeling frustrated with my grandfather sometimes. Because sometimes I feel like people aren't going to listen all the way before I make the comment that I do. They're just going to listen to the first thing I say about feeling frustrated with family members, and then they're going to immediately go to saying something along the lines of, because it's happened so many times, you have no idea, they'll say something along the lines of like, oh, well, that's just kind of how they are, and it's ungrateful of you to think that, you would be upset with them, and they're your grandparents, you're not gonna know what it's like until they're gone, and then you're gonna miss them, these things have to be exclusive in some way? Do you think that it's somehow not possible to both love someone and have quarrels with them? Like, it's not a one or the other sort of thing. When you live with a grandparent and you do things at a young age to aid them and to help them or to cook for them, it's not going to be the same experience as going to grandma and grandpa's and getting $20 from them, chatting, and then going home. Like, he has been a huge, huge guardian and influence in my life, and that relationship applies in the same way that, you know, I might quarrel with my mother and father, except with such a huge age difference. You know, it's not the mother to daughter age difference, it's the daughter to grandfather age difference. There are just inherent differences that make or break certain feelings. You know, how my mood might go a certain day if he's grumpy himself, and then I reflect that attitude back onto him, and then he reflects it back onto me. Sometimes the day can just suck then. I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna be able to do any baking if I feel just this strange tension while he, you know, goes back and forth out of the kitchen or something. And then some days just don't work that way. No, that's not all the time. It's literally no. There are so many days where I'm excited for him to see what I've made. The cake in this video, you guys. Oh my gosh, I can't believe the conversation went this way. I'm actually really sorry. I hope this doesn't weigh heavy on anyone's heart. I'm sorry. But I'm just gonna keep talking about it while I decorate this very lovely, happy, beautiful, wonderful cake. But there are many days like this cake. I showed it to him and I was excited to, and he liked it, and we were both happy, and there was no animosity, you guys. It's not an all the time occasion where I have to spot had to be in the kitchen. I have space. This room is mine. It is my space. You know what? I might have to put in the title that I am going to vent. Either that, or I'll put it in the description, or I'll put it in the comments, because this was technically a vent. And I hope it wasn't annoying to anybody. I do my best to not just drop those sort of things, but it suddenly came and I wanted to discuss it. That all just goes to say though, while I was decorating this, I truly, to give you a good ending to this, and everything is good, but to give you the proper positives of what I am leading to here, I was very happy when I was making this cake in my room. When I was, or more so, decorating, I baked upstairs, and that was fine. That was totally fine and peaceful. Me and my grandfather coexisted peacefully, as we almost always do. There's just those few times. And I just felt like I was able to enjoy the artistry that can come with baking for once again. For a while, I had always wondered why I was so high stress, so high stress when it came to baking and adding decoration, icings, different drizzles and designs and shapes to things. I had always been so high stress about it, and it felt like I couldn't breathe while I was doing something that was meant to be therapeutic for many people. And it was because I found that I was carrying that same anxious feeling that I had even as a young girl trying to do baking and decorating and trying to do art projects, trying to do essays, trying to do all of those things where the appearance of something is considered important. I had always felt like I was just going to be scrutinized for something. And so now that I am just on my own in my room, the experience is far different, because there is no longer an audience, and there never really was, but in my head there always seemed to be someone else telling me, oh, we gotta fix that, someone's about to come over and look over the corner while you're sitting in this dining room, and someone's about to look at it and stare at it, and even if they don't say anything, there's gonna be some judgment in their glance, and there's gonna be something that they want to say, but they're gonna be kind to you and not say it, but you're just gonna have to think about all of the bad things they wanted to say. That's what flows through my mind when I want to be creative sometimes. And now that I get to create a cake where I'm simply slapping on various coats of pastel shades to create a secret garden with pink and purple and white tulips, and I get to have a little howl and a little Sophie while I stand in front of the clouds, I think I feel a lot better about creating when I just get to have fun with it, and when I just get to see things that inspire me. There was a cake that was done exactly like this, and it was very viral on like Pinterest and stuff. So if you're on Pinterest or you just use Google, all you have to do is look up Howl's Moving Castle garden cake, and the exact picture of basically what I'm doing comes up, and it's so beautifully done. It is so beautifully done. Theirs is much smoother than my own, but this cake has been recreated a couple of times, and I figured with different things that are going on in my life, and so things like drawing, things like painting have become, replaced with something like writing, so creative writing. And with things like, whenever I spend too much time online, if I can be completely honest with you, I cannot tell you that I've replaced healthy interests like art with 100% other healthy interests as well, as though it was a fair trade, because quite frankly I spend a lot of my time doom scrolling. Even after I try to stop, sometimes it happens again, sometimes I get frustrated, sometimes I feel like that's the only way I can fill myself back up again, even though it doesn't work half of the time. But I've also filled up a lot of that time on art with reading as well, and my coursework, and my actual work, my actual job. I guess that all goes to say that I've had to change what I invest my time in, and I'm not sad that I don't draw or paint like I did when I was younger, because it served me then, and the memories, they're fond. I have fond memories there, but it's not something that I feel is a missing part of me, as though it's the opportunity or the skill that got away. It's still something I enjoy, but it just isn't something I choose now. But now that I've been doing more vintage cakes, aka the one that I did, actually the very first baking video that I did, now that I've been practicing that more and I've been enjoying doing that and like making them for other people, that sort of opened up a can of worms, and my attention to detail when it comes to baking and decorating, those sorts of things. Just because those are very fun, they're very frilly, you can experiment with colors, and it just feels satisfying to see one. And so when I decided that I would do the Ghibli themed videos, I felt like the secret garden cake was the first thing that came to mind, even before the Haku cake, actually, because I had seen this garden cake quite a while ago, and I had always seen it, and I was like, there's no way someone did that, like, it's beautiful. And I was like, you know what, I can just try it, like, I can just do that. And so here I am now. I am indeed just doing it. I am making it happen, and I had a lot of fun with this. I had YouTube videos playing in the background. I was watching a lot. See, I'm smiling right now. I don't know if you can like hear the smile through the way I'm talking, but first cake that I made, I was maybe a little bit frustrated afterwards with the job I had done. I will again speak about it in that video, but I was a little sad that the vanilla cake I made was only one tier. I ended up not making a second cake because I thought I wouldn't need to. I knew I was just gonna do a simple side design, but then I ended up wanting to get more ambitious and do something else, but I couldn't because I was so limited by the space. And I was also a little bit sad about the, I guess, prep work I had done with the frosting before I had started piping the dragon on top, because I was just so excited to do that part that I didn't properly, I think, smooth out the edges of the cake. It could have looked a little cleaner, but then again, that is exactly what led to my improvements on this cake. So I took those thoughts of what I could have changed and I just turned it into something that I was really happy about in the end. And even with the dragon cake, I am not upset with it. I think it's very fun. It's very cool. But it was a jumping point for me to learn what was going to make me happiest while I was creating. And see, you can see in the corner there, I've got my headphones on. I was just enjoying my time. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize this gets blurry. My sister told me this when she walked into the room. Oh shoot, that's right, I see it now. She told me that it kept going in and out blurry, and I was like, what the heck do you mean? That's exactly what you meant, because my big shoulder keeps getting in the frame, and I think I use my phone to film, you guys. I don't know if anyone would do that. I told it to some people in the comments, but I use my phone, and I've been using the cinematic mode. But the issue with that is it likes to focus on skin tone immediately. So the second skin comes into the frame or something, or I pop into the corner of a frame, it wants to focus on that, which is maybe a little unfortunate if I can't see exactly what the camera is pointing at. I have to get up and check. But you do what you gotta do. I'm not gonna go out of my way right now with my broke student checking account, okay? I'm struggling here. That's okay. I'm fine. I'm doing good. I don't have the means right now to get a fun, lovely camera. I wish, but we'll have to wait for another time, and I'll keep doing my very best as I have been here. That's one thing I've thought about, actually, if anyone wants to chime in on this. Sometimes I wonder if you guys would like my videos better if I had an actual camera. So if I could show the colors in a different way, or if the video was more high definition. Of course, I'm never gonna do things like have a full-on backdrop and a whole setup sort of thing, because I enjoy keeping it casual. I feel like that's a huge part of the feel of the old ASMR community. And just what I feel in general, it just isn't me to be super professional in what I create. Or not a professional, but high production, that's the word, sorry. Not professional, but just high production. It's just not my channel. But sometimes I do wonder if you guys would prefer a different quality, I guess. I think about it, crosses my mind. But right here, I haven't been vocalizing anything that has been going on with this cake, you guys. I'm sorry, but you see it. You see it, okay? This is a chance for me to really talk. This is a chance for me to really talk, and I appreciate you guys when you listen. I really do. But this is me right now creating Howl. And if you saw my community page, he looks like Michael Jackson. Yeah. So right now I'm creating his legs, and I had black food coloring for this. Luckily, I didn't have to do any weird mixtures and mess with the color wheel in order he's moonwalking. Okay, you know what? This just is Michael Jackson, actually. This is no longer Howl. He's got the white shirt, he's got the black pants, he's got the hair. Alrighty then. That's so bad. I did my best. I did my best on Howl, and it's gonna have to do because this cake doesn't even exist anymore, so there's nothing I can do to change it. And I was working on a lunchbox sized cake. Alright, well, technically it's not really a lunchbox cake because it's a little bit taller, but it still technically is a lunchbox cake because it's a small. I don't know what you call this, a 6-inch. I think this is a 6-inch cake. Small cake. I'm sorry. And I already made Sophie. You can't really see her over to the right. She looks like a grandma, because obviously that's like what happens in the film, is she still keeps her gray hair. But in the one I did here, she looks a little, I don't know, a little funky, if I can say that. I think it's just her head shape, her face. I wasn't working with a whole lot here because this is such a small canvas and it's frosting, and I don't have an infinite number of piping bags. What actually saved me with this cake was the fact that I could use the spatula so much to decorate the base of this cake, and actually that little silver tool that you see in the back that's laying horizontal right now on the Lazy Susan, that is a nail tool. Now don't worry, don't be like, oh my gosh, that's so nasty, gross, Haley, why would you use that? It's clean. I don't use it. It just sits with little tools that I have in my vanity. It just sits there. I don't use it. And so I just used it as a mini spatula to get those little indentations you see in the grass. And I used it also to remove pieces of frosting, because if you, of course, like swipe it, a lot of the time it can smear. But with the texture of this frosting, I made it specifically so it would be more stiff, which just entails making a buttercream and adding some cornstarch to it. You can also add heavy whipping cream in there. I think that's pretty common too, but the cornstarch is what firms up the buttercream without changing it too much, in a sense, without changing the flavor too much. Otherwise, sometimes you kind of sacrifice taste for the way that, or the texture of the frosting. When people make those like buttercream flowers at bakeries and stuff, sometimes they don't always taste the best. I think a lot of grocery store cakes in general, their frosting, it looks super fun, but it does not taste that great. I feel like that's just the truth. Like, it just doesn't taste that great. But it's super fun for large gatherings, for parties. Kids don't have a clue. They have no clue that it doesn't taste as good as regular stuff because they're kids. When I was a kid, I didn't care. I had no care in the world. That stuff was delicious. I eat that by the tub. Eat it up. Okay, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying. Oh my gosh, that was embarrassing. That was, wow. I need to censor myself sometimes. Here I am. I didn't even notice that I already put on Howl's hair. That is Mikael Jackson. That is who that is right there. But I think that the flavor of this buttercream was not compromised for the shape. Long story short, you see how I just went on that crazy tangent for no reason about the grocery store buttercream versus any other homemade buttercream. I'll just keep playing around with it. I really will. I have so much time as a young woman very proud of being able to do this and enjoy it. And next up in our little Ghibli series is going to be the Spirited Away cake. That is going to have a Haku dragon on it. A lot of frosting. That was what that was, a lot of frosting. And I'm excited to show that. It's just gonna be the decorating, but it'll be fun nonetheless. And I've got some other Ghibli things in mind, but until then, the Ghibli series won't be like in every single video that I post is going to coincide with that series. It's just going to be some things that I pop out onto my channel every now and then, because